This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome in, Paul Catalina and Faith Lynch back again. And by the way, thanks to the game, I am sporting Garrett. Let's get a one on me right here. There we go. I'm sporting my hat from the game, the Bobby Bowden Classic here.
Oh yeah.
All right, so Faith, how and mind you, they're a sponsor and they're awesome. Am I appropriately rocking this hat? It was a flat bill, and I had to do that because Emery told me I looked like a clown, or that I looked like a dad who was trying to look cool to his stepkids. Like kind of a thing. So no, but yeah, this is the game. We have the contest going on right now. So email us 365sportsyt at gmail.com, and we will. It's for Bama and Auburn fans, A&M and West Virginia. We have a contest going on. So Faith, I will ask you this question to start the show. To help pump up the contest a little bit. Garrett and I played a game the other day we called Lifeboat. Yes. And so here's the thing. You are injured in a lifeboat. It only has room for one other person, and then another person can hang out on the side in the water. So you have to pick your two favorite. You're a huge Houston Astros fan, correct?
Oh, yeah.
A huge Houston Astros fan. Okay. So who are your two favorite Houston Astros of all time?
Alex Bregman.
Alex Bregman.
Yeah, I know.
He's mine now. He's mine now.
On Valentine's Day. I was brokenhearted on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Why would he do that? So.
I mean, because he knows where it's cooler to play in Fenway Park. He also, he's got a career .395 average there or something crazy like that. Yeah.
It makes sense, but.
Yeah. So
Bregman.
Okay.
And then Verlander. You can't.
Bregman and Verlander. Okay. So, both of them are no longer Astros.
Yeah.
So over Altuve, even.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I watched Bregman when he was at LSU.
Okay.
So that was really fun. And then Verlander coming in, and I'm big reality TV, so that whole thing was.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so you're in the life raft.
Yeah.
And you have to give me the reasons why. Mm-hmm. Who's in the raft with you, and who is holding out hope, holding on to the side?
I am going to put Bregman in the water. You're
going to put Bregman in the water? The Red Sox thing puts him in the water?
It does, because it just is you've built so much here. Your whole family's here. He's from Louisiana. You have so much here. Yeah, sure, money, whatever program, but he's also on the older side now. Mm-hmm. And so I'm why would you not just stay in a place? Not that it's not stay in a place because you're comfortable, but write it out. Be with the Astros. You've won two World Series with them.
Yeah, I don't know how, the deal he's got in Boston is really good for actually both sides, but yeah, I'm excited for him to be in Boston. The text I sent to the guys was, until 30 seconds ago, I hated this guy when I found out about him going there. And he is an absolute, he's a guy who every other team probably hates because he can needle you a little bit, but you love having him on the team. So I'm fired up to have him on the Red Sox. So I get it. Also, the Red Sox drafted him initially before he went to LSU.
Yeah, that is true.
So
that is true.
Maybe he just always wanted to know how that would have played out. And now he doesn't have to play in Pawtucket or anything like that. He can just go and play in Boston. He can go right to Fenway. Of course, he's dominated at Fenway, like I said before. So I think it was, if he goes, here's the thing. To me, it's worth it for the several times a year in the postseason that, in big moments that they've played Alex Bregman and he's gotten hits. If he hits 210 at Fenway Park all of a sudden, I wouldn't be that mad because at least he's not hitting 400 against them. That. Yeah. I just knew, every time they're in Fenway, I was well, you better get Altuve out because Bregman's getting a hit.
Yeah.
Bregman's getting a hit. So you better get Altuve out. You better hope that it's a bad day for Correa.
Yeah.
Which, so I'm so, like, so Correa doesn't make this list?
I mean,
Or did you, like, after, I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
Like, and you're younger, so you weren't even alive when Biggio and Bagwell were playing, right?
no, I just was
Or not
always
much, yeah.
No, it was always just honoring Biggio, and they would always sit
Yeah.
right down there.
I mean, you
know
were
what I
alive,
mean?
but you weren't, like.
I didn't watch them play.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, you have no memory of, like, if your dad took little 2-year-old Faith to the game, you wouldn't have known,
No,
right?
no,
Yeah.
no idea. Clueless.
So, yeah.
I was more concerned about the ice cream and the little hats that you get, which Baylor is doing at their games, which I'm excited about.
Yeah. Well,
I collected like 8 of them growing up for the Houston Astros.
One of my college roommates and I, before he got married and had kids, and then obviously now, it might be easier. His kids are older. I don't know. Our wives would both go. They both like sports. But we were doing the ballpark tour.
Yeah.
And part of the requirement of the ballpark tour, and Stacy is a pack rat, a hoarder. I mean, you would not believe. But his deal was we have to try a hot dog every place.
Yeah.
Like, we have the things that are going to be the same. Like, we'll have to try a hot dog every place. We've got to, do this, we have to try, like, whatever their unique ballpark food is.
Yes.
Because that became a thing right when we were starting it.
Okay.
Some places didn't have it. Like, I remember we went to I don't know what it's called now, U.S. Cellular or whatever, Comiskey Park. I mean, it's where the White Sox play. We went there, and Comiskey Park and Wrigley Field don't do anything special for, like, it's hot dogs and peanuts, and it's old school.
Yeah.
We had to have a local beer, which at Wrigley Field was Old Style, which is the best cheap beer you can get ever. I wouldn't say it's good,
Right.
but I also wouldn't say that it's bad. It is, in fact, beer. In fact, that should be the slogan. Old Style. It's beer.
Gosh.
And it's very inexpensive. So, but the ice cream helmet was a big thing for him. We had to get ice cream and a helmet. And then I can't remember, we went one place and we couldn't, maybe it was Milwaukee, or it was either Milwaukee or Atlanta, where we could not find it. Like, we could not find it on the concourse until finally, like, it was just like weird, because Atlanta, now they have a park. Since then, they've moved parks, so now I have to go back to that one. But yeah, it was like the way they had kind of positioned things was like, this is hot dogs and sodas and peanuts and burgers and nachos. The ice cream thing was like somebody else's thing, so it was like, whatever Atlanta soft serve ice cream company was doing it, local. And they were just like at different, like, 4 corners of the ballpark, which we were near none of them apparently, or drinking whatever local beer all day long had made us lost. So I don't know, but
yeah, Houston's is always Bluebell in the little cup, and then the Rangers, theirs was like not the foot long, but it's like this massive tray of like nachos. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Because I went to the old stadium. I haven't been to the new one yet.
So they have a they called it the Thunder Stick.
Yes.
For Nelly Cruz.
Okay.
And it was a hot dog, which he tried. I did not.
Huge.
He ate 3/4 of it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it was huge. And he said it just didn't taste good once it got cold.
Yeah. Oh.
So like once it got, cold. But yeah, those things, I don't know, like, but it's become a thing. Like, you go to a ballpark and it is like, okay, what's the weird thing that they have?
Yeah.
Like, what do they have? I will tell you, the worst one we went to was Edison Field in Anaheim.
Okay.
And the reason it was the worst was we got up that morning, and on ESPN.com they had done this big expose on all the, like, ranking the cleanliness of all the food, the taste, the cleanliness, and literally, like, we had 2 things to do that day. We were going to go to, like, some place and see something, and then that night we were going to go to Anaheim and watch the Angels. And I get up in the morning, and I turn on SportsCenter, and they're doing this whole thing, and the first logo that pops up is the Angels. So we did get a hot dog and ice cream and beer, but it was like one of those things where, like, this is either the cleanest night they've ever had ever,
right,
or we are on the last night of
being
the crisis.
nasty.
Yeah.
That's
I'll tell you and you'll never get to have them again because they're not there anymore, but the nachos at the Oakland Coliseum were fantastic.
really.
Yes, they were absolutely fantastic. They were great. You've been there, right, Garrett?
I've been there. I've had them.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Now, that's the only thing I will ever say about the Oakland
That's
Coliseum
fair.
that is
That is
fantastic. It is in the worst neighborhood in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
When you get off of the BART, you're just like, okay, walk straight, don't make eye contact. If you get once you get across, they have this fenced in walkway over the parking lot from the BART to the stadium. Once you get down out of that, you're fine. Everything's fine. But until you get across that, there's a good chance that some crazy person's going to at least acknowledge you.
Right.
And you hope that it's just like, hey, man! And you just keep walking. Not that they follow you or whatever. But, but my friend who was from Oakland said, hey, you got to get the nachos. And I was like, I mean, what's so special? He's like, I'm just telling you, the nachos are fantastic. And they load them up with meat and chicken. They have chicken nachos are fantastic. Now, we were in a season where the A's were, a good 30 games under 500 by the time we got there. And there were cobwebs on the cup holders because no one had been sitting in those seats all year long. And I can only assume that the people in charge of cleaning it were like, well, no one's over there.
No one's coming.
No, I haven't had to pick up a cup or anything over there. And then, I sat down. We had pretty good seats. I sat down, and the guy who's in charge of that section was like, "Oh, hey, wow, all right,
Welcome,
welcome in, good deal." It was also another thing happened to me. I was excited because I thought Roy Halladay was going to pitch for the Blue Jays that day.
Okay.
And he didn't because they were about to trade him. That's right before they traded him. So I was a little bummed out.
Yeah.
And the late Roy Halladay died in a plane crash a couple years ago. But anyway, Faith, we'll talk baseball later in the show. It's something I'm just warning you all who watch the Triple Option that we're going to start doing more of because I love baseball. If you can't tell, I love it. It is my second favorite sport behind football, and it's not far. It's, I love football just slightly more.
Yeah.
Just this much more, In the life raft, football would be in, baseball would have to paddle.
Okay.
But they have a stick. It's fine. They'll do good. Or they can loan me the stick, and I'll paddle for them. But I do want to get your thoughts because you are a recent college athlete, and you play a sport where nobody really messes with it too much, right?
There's no need.
Obviously, you have realignment was a big deal. You got to experience that.
New schools.
Where all of a sudden you're like, we're playing Utah now. Okay,
Twice. We go to Utah twice now. Yeah.
So you had all that, but. Nobody's messing with your postseason because your postseason from the beginning was good.
Works.
Nobody's messing with the College World Series because it's good, or the Women's College World Series.
Men's basketball.
Now, men's basketball, they're trying to mess with. They want to put more teams in it, which is dumb. It is dumb.
Yeah.
And what I don't think they realize is that, if you just promoted the conference tournaments better on that end, there's your expansion right there. Basically, at the beginning of March, everyone's in the tournament.
Yeah.
And then when the actual tournament starts, then there's 68 teams. So, and even then, 4 of those are gone before everybody else starts. But with football, it's always been a gigantic tug of war. Yeah. And it's never made sense. And they've never applied the logic from the other sports to football until they were forced to. Yeah. COVID made them do it. And so now we are 1 year out of the 12-team playoff, which I thought was a pretty good success. I don't think it was an A+, but I think that
it works.
I think they actually are onto something. Yeah. But now they want to expand it more. They want to shove in automatic qualifiers. How would you have felt as a competitor? Okay. I know it makes it maybe feel a little easier if you knew if you were in the top 4 in the Big 12, you guys were going to make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
So there's games down the stretch where you're like, okay, well, we're not going to fall out of fourth. So we're okay, and maybe we can play a little looser, and we can move up. Say you're in second. You can maybe, if you don't have to worry about falling all the way down. But outside of that one little factor as a player, I don't know how much I'd like it.
Yeah. In my brain, thinking of volleyball, I kind of think about when we're watching the selection show, and it's like, okay, are we going to be the number one seed to host?
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to be in the tournament. We know we're going to be in that power top 4, top 8, but are we going to host and be able to stay at home till Sweet 16?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think about it. I think if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't mess with it. I think the switch from 4 to 12 is good. I think that works. If that's where we're wanting to move towards, okay, allow more people in. I thought y'all said it perfectly about YMCA, just everyone free for all, come in. Like, not everyone's going to win. This is college sports. There was a time and place for that. I think it's just people trying to cause chaos just to cause chaos. And as an athlete, you have all the revenue share, you have all the NIL, whatever. But now these massive TV contracts that really weren't an issue are now affecting how college football looks.
Well, and part of the revenue sharing, that's part of the reason that the Big Ten in particular is like, okay, well, we can pay for this if we play more football games.
Right.
We can up the revenue so that we don't have to cut into what we've been getting all this time. And they're trying to make somebody else pay their pet. Like, the way I see the house settlement, we talked about this the last time, was I see it more as kind of, this is your penalty for hoarding all this money. And Faith, I talked to a friend of mine at the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and he made a great point. If in 2003, when this first started to like get kind of some momentum, if they 2003-4, when it started to get momentum about like maybe, you know, there's more athletes that think this is wrong than, you know, or they're now able to voice it. You know, internet's out there, people are like voicing it, so it's not just whatever athletes you see that
hearsay.
So people knew that there was a groundswell among the athletes for this. If they had just said like, all right, we're going to give you guys $3,000 a month. You know, we're going to pay you like $3,000 a month. You know, it's essentially a starting salary at a job because you can't get a job. You're making money for the school, and you can have your name, image, and likeness. We'll let you do that on your own if like somebody wants you to have. If somebody wants you to promote their product, not because they want you to just come to their school and promote nothing.
Let's pay you $500,000. You can then ride on the bench and not produce numbers for us because you're injured.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that's the problem you're running into.
Yeah, and that creates resentment among players. I would think that.
Yes.
Yeah, you transferred or you threatened to transfer, got what you wanted, came back, and you're not the guy you were before you threatened to transfer.
It's not okay. And you probably ran off one of my teammates in the process. Because they had to make room for you to come in and sit on the bench with all your money.
So if they had just done that then, they would have saved so much money. And really, I wouldn't see any reason why athletes would be able to say, well, even when it comes to Nebraska, it's going to cost you $1 million. You're like, well, you know, everybody makes this much money all across college football. That's what you make. And then anything you make, name, image, and likeness is yours. Is yours to keep. But it has to be like you actually have to do work for that. So if a company pays you for name, image, and likeness, you have to say, "Hi, I'm Faith Lynch, and I really like
this product.
I really like this product. I love Diet Coke. I drink Diet Coke all the time.
Please sponsor me.
Yeah,
please. It would save me so much money.
Yeah, but yes, you know, there's nothing like. Yeah, there's nothing that refreshes me more than a Diet Coke, a little squeeze of lemon in it, you know, whatever it is.
Or lime,
Yeah, lime, yeah. So, yeah, I don't, like that would have been that. And that's pretty cut and dry and easy. And then you have the guardrails that everybody's talking about. But no, you got the French Revolution for when they came for like, all right, that's it. You know, off of their heads. Like, oh, no, you're not cutting off our heads. No. Like, you know, like, we're coming for you now. Like, we're coming for you. And that's what happened. So to me, the revenue sharing is like a penalty, right?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like there's no rules. So then it's like, okay, how do we fix this? Because we've let it get so out of control. And so athletes on scholarship, not on scholarship, are like, well, I need to get what's mine because I wasn't able to be a part of it. And then you're just creating this whole other mess that it's almost the, like, you don't know what you don't know. And so I would not have been upset as an athlete if I didn't know I could have made money off my name, image, and likeness. Sure, it pops into your brain of like, hey, I'm on TV every day. Yeah.
Well, I think that was also like what they were banking on.
Right.
Was that like nobody.
This is how it's going to work.
Yeah, like, oh, they don't know. Yeah. They're dumb kids. They don't know.
And I mean, in a way, that's kind of good. You know, you're creating greed. You're creating
ignorance is bliss sometimes. But
yeah.
So I'm curious as to like the feelings of, like you said, you ran off a teammate, you did this.
Yeah.
There are like there are plenty of coaches who will be able to handle it well.
Yeah.
And there are some coaches that, like, if you say you're going to be in the portal, they're like, okay, well, go.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, like, go ahead. And then, like, there's probably a lot of cases that nobody ever hears about where a guy walks in and goes, hey, I think I'm going to go in the portal because, you know, somebody's telling me that I could get this much at that school.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Well, you kind of get to the point where it's like, okay, I almost want you to leave.
Yeah.
So now I get your scholarship back plus the NIL money because it's on a contract. So you're
Yeah.
not going to continue to get that if you leave.
Yeah.
So I then get that money back to go buy a player that's better than you.
Yeah.
That's what it becomes. It becomes the NFL.
Yeah.
It becomes two separate leagues paying a whole bunch of money. That's where I feel like the college football playoffs is going to have to move.
And, well, I mean, look what we've seen from the SEC and what we'll continue to see is that Greg Sankey, look, you can keep putting money into football, and they make so much money with football. But after a while, you don't need anything else.
No.
Like, you've got
Yeah.
everything. So they have this surplus of money.
Yes.
So it goes into basketball. It's right now, it's going into baseball in the SEC.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a huge
Very
way. And like his goal is he's going to want all 8 in Omaha,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
very easily he could get. I mean,
Yeah.
like, seriously, of their 16 teams, 10 of them will be in the postseason this year, guaranteed.
At least, yeah.
At least 10. Like, at least 10. And so if 8 of them win their regionals and super regionals, you could see an all SEC College World Series.
That would be
Now, you
wild.
could see that with the Big 12 or anybody else, too, if they had that kind of year. But it is way more likely to happen right now with the SEC because they're taking football dollars and giving them to baseball so that they have a corner on that market.
Yeah.
And do you feel like, can you see that, like, when you're in the NCAA tournament and you play a team that's from the SEC, that, again, and so eventually you make, like, baseball's going to have everything it needs, and then women's basketball is going to have everything it needs. So that money's just going to have to keep getting distributed around. So they're going to say, like, you know what, volleyball may be kind of a growing sport right now. I mean, you know, did you guys? Well, I mean, like they do at Nebraska. Like, Nebraska, that volleyball wants for 0 things.
That's why Texas and Nebraska have always been so good, because Texas has always had the ability to have all of this money so they can push it wherever. That's why their tennis team is so good. Their soccer, that's why they win Big 12 every year in almost every sport, because they have the money and they have the resources to do it. And so when you're looking at it from a recruiting standpoint too, of, okay, well, Baylor's really good, but Texas is also really good, but Texas has all the fun things that I want as an 18-year-old, or even now a 23-year-old, because you're like, well, if I get all these perks and I have a family now, that my family can then take all these perks as well. Like, I think in the tournament, maybe not so much, because there are some regulations of like, okay, you have to do this and try to even it out. I think about it when Title IX first started happening, when my dad was like, yeah, I'm on the men's golf team, and I'm driving around in my own car myself to a golf tournament, but the women's team is on a private plane flying because it has to be equal.
Well, so
that's where I kind of
what they
am
do
like,
is like, well, men's golf is going to suffer, but we have to make something equal. So, and this is all about football.
Yeah.
Part of the thing I've always thought they should have done with football is football should have been separate from Title IX.
Right.
And there should have been maybe like a percentage to like catch up. But there's no other sport, like men's or women's sport, that has 85 to 100 scholarships. Now they have 105 scholarships. So there's no other sport. You can't create a women's sport with 85 players on it.
Yeah, and that's
full scholarships.
And that's okay.
So then it's fine.
You know, like, that's okay.
So you'd have to, like, okay, you already have volleyball, you already have track and field, you already have this, you already have basketball. So now to create that, well, that's, you know, about 4 sports kind of get you to that 85 match. And then you have like 8 others. And so, because now you have more, because you have the same, like, almost every other sport has a corresponding number, you know?
Yeah.
And so while they may not play men's volleyball here or men's soccer, they do play men's sports that women don't have.
Right.
So, like, it balances out,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
All in the long run. So you can always have a corresponding number. You have men's and women's golf, and men's and women's tennis, men's and women's basketball, baseball and softball. So those are like your easy ones. Like, they get this, done. And then you get like men's and women's basketball. Okay, okay, those are scholarship resources, benefits are the same. And then you get to football, and you're like, okay, well, now we have to make something up because a track team has how many athletes on it. Plus you have the male athletes on the track team.
Yeah.
So you can't make like a second track team.
No.
Like, or put more, like, we need 72 more javelin throwers because otherwise we don't, have this. So.
Baylor has an acro team, so I feel like that's the only, because their roster's so large and it is all female, but you don't have an acro team in every school. No. And so you don't have, swim and dive, I don't know what that looks like, but you can't hold as many, you can't hold 65, 70 people.
No, you can't. So it's such a weird thing that they always should have, or they should have said, like, again, make a percentage of it.
Yes.
But football has 85 scholarships. You're never gonna get there. Yeah. Count the, I don't know. You're never ever going to get there.
And I get, like, in all these problems too, like, I feel like people are trying to, like, bridge the gaps. Okay, like, we see this is a problem, let's try to fix it. But with fixing it is just creating all this chaos. Like, the NCAA, what are they even doing anymore? They're just handing out trophies, Yeah,
no, they've been useless for quite a long time. Do athletes even fear getting in trouble with the NCAA anymore? Other than the stress of it?
From, like, a drug standpoint, probably.
Drug, but, like, as far as, like any
money?
kind of, like, money situation?
No, I feel like...
Like, other than crimes, which the police can take care of.
Yeah, that's all
like, other
different.
than crimes, but...
Probably not. Again, volleyball's way smaller level. Some girls have massive deals. If I'm going to submit something, it has to go through compliance, so I'm sure... Compliance doesn't want to get in trouble, so they're going to make sure and read over everything. But I kind of think of it as like you're filing taxes. I'm like, did I fill this out the right way? Yeah. Well, if I didn't, I'm sure someone's going to tell me, And so getting in trouble, I don't know. I feel like if they're going to...
So it'd be really hard, like you'd have to maybe willfully break rules.
Yeah.
Like willfully break, and even if if you're going to willfully break a rule because you don't think it should happen, even still, I wouldn't think you'd be that scared of it.
No, I'm not. Because when the NIL first started happening, it was like, okay, well, you can't wear any branded Baylor stuff. Well, now you can in certain instances. Like Maddie Skinner did a hotel commercial, I think it was with Fairfield, and has Texas volleyball stuff on. And so I'm like, oh, you can do that. That was like the big thing, was like, don't wear any Baylor branded stuff. You are not a Baylor student athlete. You're just a student athlete. And now that's like completely gone out the window. So I'm like, what rules are there to...
I remember, so when the first day of the NIL, like it's legal now. Mm-hmm. We had Chad Jackson from compliance. Yeah. Like he had a press conference at Zoom. It was in 2020, so it was a Zoom.
Yeah.
It was a Zoom press conference. And I, put my name in the queue, my name in the queue. And all the questions before him were kind of like basically how does it work? Like what can they, So then, like, I had, like, 4 questions that were, like, actual, like, well, what about this? Well, isn't that dumb? Couldn't you get around like this? He's like, those are a lot of questions. And he's like, I can promise you, we haven't even gotten to some of that yet.
Yeah.
And he's like, the 4th thing you said scares me to death. Because I was like, well, these are just things we've talked through on a talk show of, like, well, what if this happens? Like, it's one of those deals. You were not, what year were you born?
03.
Okay, so you were not born when 9/11 happened.
No.
But right after 9/11, and they put the TS, like, you've never known a life where you don't have to take your shoes off and all that. So you could bring a whole bottle of shampoo in your carry-on. They didn't care. But the TSA had this wild idea after 9/11 that, like, you could only bring, like, little, and it still sticks to this day, even though it still makes no sense. You could only have 2.8 ounce
which is
bottles
silly.
of like travel size stuff. All right, well, what if I just, of the bad chemical, put in 75 of those bottles, which I'm all allowed to have?
Right.
Like, all you've done is slow me down, not stop me from my terrible crime. Like that's all you've done. That kind of felt like it was one of those things where like you'd come up with those and they're like, oh, man, we should have really thought about that. Like what happened here, And so I think that like the NCAA, the way they do things, they just like to mess up in real time. Like they'll make a rule and they're like, oh, didn't see that coming. And everybody else is like, well, we did.
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, and part of the reason I just love having you on the show now, Faith, is you give a perspective just as an athlete. You've been and again, you're an athlete in what they call a non-revenue sport.
Yeah.
Unless you're at Texas or Nebraska or Penn State or Wisconsin.
Maybe. I have no idea if they're even making money from there. Who knows?
They did the night they played in the football stadium. I know that.
Yeah, Nebraska. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. But you also are around the other athletes quite a bit. You guys share facilities. You guys have the same like work study groups and all these different things that are available to you. So you get to see how that part of it has changed. And you were right here at like the
very start.
You got to see the very start of it was not here and there.
Yeah.
And then you see, I just wonder how it feels as an athlete to have all these people making decisions over you that you have no say in.
Yeah, it's even with like the roster cuts this year that are happening with a lot of sports, especially volleyball. We had a roster of 19 this year, and we were like, okay, well, if they go down to 16, that means 3 girls that are currently here are not going to be here. And so things like that, you're like asking coaches.
But part of the problem was so I was very excited about the raising the roster limits, which they did all over the place. But the thing about that is they should not have raised football's roster limit.
No.
That to me, I don't think they should have done.
Silly.
And you can't really add more people to basketball. But
yeah.
So they added 20 people to football, and they added all over the place. But if you're going to carry all 105 scholarship football players, that means that baseball, all the other sports like that, have to determine okay, well, are we going to go up or are we going to go down?
Yeah.
So we have the resources to go up, so we're going to do that. But then somewhere is going to get trimmed.
Yeah.
You don't know where it's going to be.
No.
It could be volleyball, could be track and field, could be whatever. So that's really nerve-wracking. And to get it because you're like, well, again, we really appreciate your contributions to the team and hope you can continue your education, but the scholarship that you had, it's no longer and we'll help you find another place to go. But if you're the 19th player on a roster though, your transfer portal likelihood,
it's non-existent.
Yeah.
We had girls enter the portal that were like, well, maybe I'll go and see. And they were like, oh, I have no options at all. So they came back, which is great. And it's hard when you're asking coaches of okay, this news comes out, we're in the middle of season, and it's like, am I even going to be here next season? And we have freshmen, sophomores that are on edge, and you're asking a coaching staff that doesn't have answers, doesn't know. They're like, look, we're going to be as transparent with you as we can. We are going to tell you everything that we know, try and make educated decisions and give you answers, but we don't know either. And so it is hard. I went to dinner with some friends, and we were talking about the NIL, and I was like, well, can't wait to see what our checks come in for the settlement. And I came in right as it started. So I was in, because I graduated early for that one semester. And then the girls that I was with were a year behind me. And so the difference of, I was like, well, I had $1,800 for me. Well, she only had $400.
Yeah.
Which was because she had available, which was just so interesting because it's like, okay, well, I'm still on the same team, probably still getting the same TV time, same opportunities, we have the same amount of play time. You're just as much valuable to the program. It's interesting to come in at that time and to receive so much benefit when really, to be honest, I'm like, I didn't really miss out. I had one semester where I wasn't able to take advantage of things, but I wasn't even eligible to step foot on the court. I could just practice, but because it came in at that time, I'm guaranteed $2,000.
But you could have also had a social media account with a bunch of followers before you even got there. Sure.
I could have been like a Livy Dunn.
Yeah. Which is what happened with Livy Dunn or the Cabinet Twins. They were already before NIL, they had already had a
following,
a base that they could grow on. And
which I get, and I think it also depends on the athlete too. Like Sawyer Robertson. He is not in his personality to be like, well, because I'm the starting quarterback and I did really well last season, I need this amount of money. It's really not in his personality. And so it's interesting to see, too, of I'm just here to play college sports or I'm here to make money and play college sports. I think that's a big difference now, too.
I think the Sawyer Robertson, Arch Manning has a good family and he knows he's going to make money. He knows he's going to make money.
He's not,
just go where you want to play. You're going to make money anywhere. I remember when he was getting recruited, it was kind of annoying. Oh, well, this school's going to. He doesn't care like other people do.
He doesn't need it.
This is not a guy who is in some kind of situation where he really needs to think about. All right, well, if this place is offering me $1 million and this one's $1.5 million. I may like the $1 million place better, but that $1.5 million, my family's never seen that kind of money. I mean,
and I get it.
Look, the Mannings wake up in the morning and make $1 million. I mean, like, that's nothing. So he knew he was going to make money. But the Sawyer Robertson of like, yeah, I'm going to make money and I'm going to make fair market value. Like, I know what the value is, but I'd rather be where I'm comfortable, where I think I'm going to be better, where I think I'm going to wind up being the best, potential to be a professional, or where, I'm set up better after it to fit for me so that if I'm not a professional quarterback, I can I have a network of a world I can step into where, they've learned about me and they know who I am. You know, so those are the things. That's what I think is kind of funny is like, if one place offers you $250 and another offers you $200, but you like the $200 place. Now, the $50,000 is a lot of money. I'm not going to say it's not.
Yeah.
But again, that's not going to last you a lifetime.
No.
Like, it's not going to be like one place is offering you $4 million and the other place is offering you $7 million. You go to the place that says $7 million because that's almost twice as much. Like, that's life-changing money. $50,000 shouldn't be life-changing money. And that's where I think a lot of athletes, especially football and basketball, get lost in the weeds because they're like, 150, okay, that's cool. Well, how about 200? And you're like, all right, great. But then you're miserable and you're not. Yeah. Maybe you just went somewhere for the money. It doesn't fit. You're not as happy. You could have been better off somewhere else.
You're in the portal. You've ruined teammate relationship. It's just, I remember standing at the NCAA tournament we hosted this year and standing there watching the little video they play of like, preparing champions and building. I'm like, this is such BS. Like, this is not happening anymore. Like we've opened up a large can of worms and no one can catch the worms ever again. Like you can't go back and fix a lot of these things.
I think with the House settlement, there'll be more like, because it's revenue share contracts. Right. There'll be like 2-year guarantees or something like that, or the opt-outs will be a little bit trickier. Yeah. Just to slow it down, because sometimes I think youthful impatience.
Oh, I need it now.
Especially for quarterbacks. Like, there are a lot of guys who are quarterbacks, and then they wind up going to the school. Like, they go to a school, and they think, like, man, I'm going to be a hot shot. Well, guess what? The other 3 guys that are there playing quarterback, they live your exact same life.
Oh, yeah.
They were the hot shot at their high school. They were the big deal in their area. They were highly recruited, and they want to play there too. So
yeah, everyone's just as good as you. That's when coming to college, probably we talked about it last time I was on, of what was the biggest difference? Everyone's good. Everyone was all district. Everyone was an academic All-American. Everyone was all state. Like, everyone's good. That's why they're here. Yeah. So there's no fluke of, well, maybe they can't play. It's like, no, you have 4 guys that are exactly like you. Yeah. And it's who's going to go first. Who's going to stand out and make the whatever. But
oh, that's where you find out. I mean, it's where you find out. Like I told you about seeing Dante Culpepper and going, that's the end of my, I mean, like, next year, that's it. That's it for me. Yeah. If I'm an offensive lineman, I cannot be a place where the quarterback's a foot taller than me. That doesn't work. It's usually, it should be the inverse ratio of that, or we should at least all be the same height. Right. Not like, oh my gosh, look at this behemoth. He's not a defensive end. He's the quarterback. That's what it did it for me. The other thing was, I remember in high school, I think it was Bobby Say. I had a buddy who was a really good, he was a really good baseball player all throughout our youth. And then he got to high school, and he was still good, but they played in the state tournament, and the pitcher named Bobby Say. He wound up playing for the White Sox for a while. He was really good. And he faced Bobby Say at 17, and he said, I've never seen a curveball like that. Like, usually you don't even throw them. Like, this guy looks like he's been throwing curveballs his whole life. Yeah. We had a kid on our team that got drafted in the 2nd round in baseball, and you could hear it, when you could hear the ball different off his bat. Oh, yeah. You heard it different. Like, he hit the ball so much harder than everybody else. Even the D1 guys that were on the team. I would sit there in the stands and listen. And, when Tommy was up, he would hit the ball. And it was no, the ball hurts. Yeah. Right? And, I mean, when you play, I played against Edgerrin James when I was a sophomore, and he's an NFL Hall of Famer now. And, or going to be, or is he a Hall of Famer?
He should be. I'm not sure. Let me check.
But he's in that, in that
category.
Yeah. So I remember even then, he was a couple years ahead of me, but even then I was like, well, this guy's a man. I'm still a boy. I'm still
That's funny.
Like the first thing that happens when he runs over me is I'm gonna think like, is my mom anywhere close? Like that's
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
2021.
Yeah. When the guys like that, you're like your first thing that you realize that like if I hit him, he's gonna be like, oh, that was. I appreciate you trying.
Yeah.
Keep going, buddy.
Is there a gnat on my shoulder?
You work hard. You know what? I respect your effort. Yeah, that's where he runs through our guys, and it's like, I can't wait to get in the car with my mom. That's in your brain. The first thing is like the little league time you got hit by a pitch and you cried.
Yeah.
Like you're like, don't be that. It hurts so much.
That's funny.
So,
That's good.
Faith and I are both big baseball fans. Yes. Obviously, we went through it earlier. Red Sox, Astros. When we come back, we're going to talk about spring training. Everybody, like, it's more than pitchers and catchers. Everybody's there now, although pitchers and catchers is kind of pretty much the guys are all in spring training for like a month before it starts. But,
right, yeah.
But everybody's there now. Spring training's alive. So we will play Who Loses to the Dodgers this year?
Oh, gosh.
This is Triple Option, 365 Sports.
Looking for a wheeled cooler? This is the Arctic 52-quart ultralight wheeled cooler. I hauled it on a deck, I hauled it downstairs, upstairs, grass, gravel, sandy road, mud puddles, the whole bit. And I gotta say, it is pretty darn tough. I really do like the wheels and the tow handle. It's easy to hold on to, even when full. It made it 6 full days with ice present, still keeping cool enough temperatures to keep drinks cold. This is a great cooler. And if you're looking for a new wheeled cooler that tows really nicely, this is a great option.
We are super excited for the launch of our Swing Juice polos. The number one thing when we were designing this polo was to find the best quality fabric. I wanted it to be functional, wanted it to be performance-based, and something that personally that I would wear. It's made with a bamboo charcoal infused micropolyester, UV protection of 50 plus. It's naturally odor resistant. It's a quick dry performance fabric, and it's very easy care. Currently, these polos are available at swingjuice.com. Can't wait for you to try them out. Guarantee you're gonna love them.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome in, Paul Catalina, or welcome back, actually. Paul Catalina, Faith Lynch, and Faith. It is baseball season. The first spring training games are today, and actually, like there's a series in Japan,
Yes,
which I actually love watching. That starts like a week and a half now before, like those games count, and then they go back and they'll play a couple more games that don't count.
And then
So, which I believe is the Cubs and Dodgers play in Japan, right? So they play this first one, and then they play in Japan in March, right?
Yes, March.
Yeah. So
yes.
Yeah, it's sometime in late March. So, which that opening day will be two Japanese pitchers facing off each other,
Which is kind of cool.
Shohei Manga and Shohei Ohtani, or I think it'll be Ohtani. It might be.
It probably will be.
Well, I mean, it could be Roki. It could be any of the 3 Japanese superstars that they have on their team. So I've seen a lot lately about there's like all these people who are mad because the Dodgers are spending all this money.
Yeah.
But I'm not mad at the Dodgers for doing it. No one else is.
Yeah, that's
so like if you're not gonna go give Roki Sasaki what he wants, like also, I mean, they have his favorite players there.
Yeah.
Like if you know, if Alex Bregman told you to come and play somewhere, you're probably gonna do it, right? Yeah. You're like, okay, that's my favorite player. Like, the guy I worship. Yeah, no, I'm gonna go play with him. So I don't blame the Dodgers. I think it's everybody else's fault for not trying to keep pace with them.
I agree.
Now, they have an ownership group that maybe has more money and has figured out because of all these deferments and stuff that it's worth it right now while they have this team to just do it. And then maybe eventually there'll be a few years, after all these guys are retired where they're still paying them. But it was worth it because they won 4 World Series.
Yeah,
right? And they've already won 2. So I don't see them slowing down. Like they've got 7 starters essentially. But how do you feel about the rest of it? How do you feel with the Astros? I saw somebody rank them the 6th best team. Yeah. I don't know.
We're not going to be very good this year, and that's okay. McCullers is going to come back after being injured, so that will be interesting to watch him and see after 2 years of not pitching what that looks like. We have Abreu. Is that how you say his last name? Abreu. He is still on this. Like they have some key people that are going to stay, but him and McCullers and Altuve are the only 2 still left from those World Series teams. So I think when you look at it, I love college sports, so it's hard to watch all the money deals of MLB, NBA, all of that mess. But those 2 guys know what it looks like to be in that competition, in that running. The Dodgers, they're buying all these people that know what that looks like. So, yeah, they're going to be good. So when you, as an Astros fan, I'm going to be sad for like a year and a half too, because you're just not going to, those guys don't understand what it looks like to be at that level yet.
Yeah. Yordan Alvarez is still one of the best hitters in the league. Altuve might wind up playing left field, which I don't know if I like.
No. No. That's not where he belongs.
Yeah, they're trying to piece all this together.
Yeah, it's a hot mess. They're trying to make it look fancy on paper of like, hey, we're going to be okay. We're still going to do this, and we're going to put this guy here, and we're going to make it work, but no.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, you go through ups and downs, especially when you're in a buying process.
Yeah. All right, so which teams do you think can reasonably challenge the Dodgers?
I think the Cubs today. I am excited to see that starts at 2. I'm excited to watch that because I think just their pitching is going to be good. I am starting to become a Rangers fan.
You can't do that.
No, I know.
You can't do that.
I can't jump ship. My parents just moved to Dallas.
Oh, they did?
They did. So they're in Frisco. So Dallas, I can now say, well, my parents live there, so I can, I have some skin in the game now.
Yeah.
We're in Dallas, so I can become a fan.
I say that, but my wife's family has been like that, where like they were in Chicago.
Yeah.
They were, they're still, I think they're still Bulls fans and Cubs fans, but
yeah,
they live in that, like they lived in Kansas, so that's where I have this Jayhawk albatross that hangs around. I welcome it, but last couple of days been rough, fellas. I'm not gonna lie. After that BYU loss, so and then they're in Nashville now, so they're big Titans and Predators fans, and and they've been in Nashville for a long time, so it's their team. So I get that. It's just that the Rangers and Astros are rivals, so you just have to be an Astros fan who lives in Dallas.
Yeah.
Your dad's not going to be a Rangers fan. I bet you he can't do it.
Probably not. But he'll go to a game and enjoy himself.
Well, yeah, he'll go to a game and enjoy himself, but you know, if they're playing the Tigers, he wants the Tigers to win.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. I don't know. I'm an Astros fan because I live in Houston. Yeah. That's all I know. I'm a Texans fan. I'm a Rockets fan. I'm an Astros fan.
Yeah.
Do we still have that hockey team? I don't think so.
No. No hockey.
Okay. I remember seeing them when I was younger.
They should have an like.
There's an expansion team. I know New Orleans is trying to get it. Houston should be in the mix as well.
Yeah, I would think Houston would be better city fourth than New Orleans.
Probably.
Yeah.
Like Houston Dynamo soccer.
Yeah.
Like I've ever watched a game? No, but I'm a fan. I'm a proud supporter.
Look, you should go to an MLS game. They're fun.
Yeah, I need to.
They're fun.
But so that's why I'm an Astros fan. So who knows? But I will watch the Rangers. We talked about reality TV a little bit last time, but all their wives seem to be influencers that I just happen to follow. So I am all over their stuff with their wives. Claire Covey-Smith, Josh Smith's wife. I'm a big fan of him because I love her and her outfits. So I will rock the Rangers fan.
She's like a designer or something, right?
No.
Or she just like a fashion influencer?
Yeah, she goes on these brand trips. And
there's somebody that like makes...
It's in the NFL.
It's Kittle's wife. George Kittle's wife.
Yes.
George Kittle's wife.
And there's another one, but they're friends, and she makes clothes. And
but she didn't even play for the 49ers. Like she made it for Kittle. No, she made it for
jacket
Kittle's
for
wife.
Taylor Swift.
Yes.
Taylor Swift.
And then Taylor Swift. Yeah.
Yes. Is it Kittle? I think it's. I don't know how to say his Latin. Jarosco.
Oh, Kyle Juszczyk.
Oh,
yes, it's his
Yeah,
wife. Yes.
Juszczyk's
Kittle,
wife.
she just wears all the
49ers,
stuff.
yeah.
Yes, but she is the one that designed everything, and yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. I mean, I can follow your logic a little bit there, but here's the
It's
other
not
thing about
great
the,
logic,
here's
I'm
the
aware,
other thing about the
but-
Astros and Rangers rivalry, though. It's still new.
Yeah.
Because
yes.
when they were in the National
Yes.
League, like nobody cared.
No, yeah.
They were just kind of there, and then all of a sudden, they're like, "You guys are rivals now," and they're like, "I guess."
Yes.
Sure. And we're both in the same state. We don't like each other. It helps. Like, it helps when we beat you. But I don't know if I don't know. You don't have like with the Red Sox and Yankees. You have more than a century of abject hatred.
Yes.
Abject hatred for the other side.
Yes.
For the Rangers and Astros, it's like you guys don't like each other for 20 years now.
Yeah.
Like 20 years ago. Like that's not even Hatfield's and McCoy's level hate there. That's just like
Oh, no.
That's just like, my neighbor didn't bring back my rake. That's all that is. No, I get that. So
I think it's fun to see the rivalry. I went to a Yankees Red Sox game in Yankee Stadium, and my brother, he plays college baseball, is in the JUCO route, and we went when he was probably like 8 or 9. And you saw way much more than a game at that. I mean, my parents are closing our eyes. There's beer flying everywhere. People are escorted out right in front of us. Like, it is more of a game. So the Houston Rangers were just not at that level yet.
Yeah, no. Absolutely not. No. I'll tell you, the first time in my life I saw, like, awful fan behavior was at what is now Hard Rock Stadium. It used to be Joe Robbie Stadium, but then it was Joe Robbie Stadium. It was the Dolphins and the Bills in an afternoon game too. So not like a Sunday night or Monday night game.
Yeah.
The Dolphins and the Bills. My best friend from growing up is a huge Bills fan. So my dad got tickets for me and his dad and Billy, my best friend, to go down to this Dolphins Bills game. It was back in the Bills were Jim Kelly in their dynasty run. They're losing 4 Super Bowls in a row run, but it was one of those years. It was like I think it might have been the last or second to last year that they went. So anyway, we're down there and we're like 12 years old, and if there was a Bills fan next to a Dolphins fan anywhere in the stadium, those big fat drunk idiots were getting in fights.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, this is crazy because I'd been to Cowboys games before, like when I was really younger, or like college football games, but usually you're just sitting in a seat surrounded by people who are just like you.
Yes,
so if somebody gets in a fight, it's because somebody's being really bad. Like
yes.
I never saw it, but like seeing 2 rival people fight was crazy.
Seeing 2 rival chicks fight.
Oh.
The hair, I'm like, what are we doing? Why are we pulling each other's hair? This is so unnecessary. Yeah,
we support all women.
Yeah,
we're supposed to lift each other up, girls.
Gosh, it's
Yeah, I can't. But anyway, to the other point.
Yes.
Do you think the Yankees, with their additions, they lost Soto,
Yeah.
but they picked up Max Fried and they got Cody Bellinger, Devin Williams, so they might be able to make up for Soto's loss in the aggregate. But man, I don't know. He was just so dang good.
He was. And he's going to do great things for the Mets, too. It's interesting to where he's going to sit in that. That's what everyone's talking about right now, is where he's going to sit in that lineup, where he's going to be. I'm a Cody Bellinger fan, too.
Okay.
I think he's great. So I'm excited to see him play for them, but I don't know. They're not going to beat the Dodgers. It is going to be a who can beat the Dodgers this year.
I was a Cody Bellinger fan, and then he put on the pinstripes. So now, hate him.
Yeah.
I will tell a story to you I've told many times in the air.
Okay.
But Aaron Boone, who just got a 2-year extension, by the way, is the manager of the Yankees. Before he was the manager of the Yankees, he was doing TV for ESPN. And Smokey and I went out to Surprise, Arizona for Ranger spring training. And the last day before we had an afternoon flight, and it was on like a Saturday or something, but it was the day we were going to get to interview Ron Washington because it was the day he had the longest to talk to us. We got to talk to him for 20 minutes or so. And so to do that interview, we had to record it out on the practice field. We went to the dugout and recorded it.
Yeah.
So before he was available, he was hitting fungos,
Yeah.
to the infielders, and we got to watch that. And Smokey, Chris Davis was on the Rangers at the time, and he knew Smokey from growing up. And so we got to talk to Chris for a little bit when he was, fielding grounders, and Beltray was there, and it was awesome. I've never seen anybody put as much effort into a seemingly mundane everyday task as Adrian Beltray did to fielding grounders on a Saturday morning at training camp on a random day.
Yeah.
It seems like nothing. Like it's just a thing that they all do. Everybody does. But he put more focus. He had fun doing it too. I mean, he was just like having a blast. And I was like, man, if everybody could just go to their job and feel that way, golly. But Aaron Boone was there. He was going to talk to Wash after us. So John Blake, who was who still is the PR head of the Rangers.
Okay.
One of the best guys ever. Anywho, we're talking to Aaron Boone standing there, and he and Smokey strike up a conversation.
Yeah.
John comes over and introduces us, and this is Smokey. This is Smokey Paul. This is Aaron Boone.
Yeah.
Hi. Well, in 2003, Aaron Boone broke my heart. I mean, he hit a home run. Garrett and I just watched this documentary.
We just watched this documentary.
Oh, it's a documentary, so he got to hear me tell the story then. Emery was there. And you know me, I'm convivial. I like meeting people. I normally, like when we got to meet somebody with the stature of Aaron Boone, I just struck up a huge conversation. I mean, the whole time we were in spring training, every time I got to meet a player, after the interview, I would sit and talk to him and get to know him on a personal, those are things I like to do, I have a really great talk one day with Michael Young, just standing around waiting for Smokey to get out of the bathroom.
As one does.
It was nice. I said maybe 4 words to Aaron Boone. And so we get in the car. We're driving to Red Robin to eat lunch because it was like right there next to it. So we're going to go to Red Robin, I guess, bottomless fries because I'm going to need every one of them. So he's like, hey, are you okay? So what are you talking about? I'm fine. He's like, you didn't say anything to Aaron Boone. And I was like, yeah, F that guy. And he's like, he's a nice guy. I was like, I don't care. I don't care. I hate him. He's a Yankee, and I hate him. And he was like, but the Red Sox have won 2 Worlds. I don't care if they've won 2 World Series since then. And they were going to win 2 more. And the Yankees still haven't won one since they've won like 3 of them. So even still, I can't just give it up. What was all this for? I didn't put all this effort forward just to meet him and be like, oh, hey, Mr. Boone. Nice to meet you, buddy. Let's be friends and have beers. No. No, I will not do that. And so Smokey he loves the story. He thought it was so funny because I was downright icy.
Yeah,
to him.
yeah.
Like so
That's
much
funny.
to the point where if we had like seen him the next day, he might have been like, "Hey, are you all right? Like,
We okay?"
did I do something to you?" Yeah, 2000, like October 10th, 2003, or no, would have been like September 20th, 2003. Remember that day, Aaron? You remember that day? That's what you did to me. And he'd be like, "Oh, you're a Red Sox fan. Okay, I get it."
I was gonna say, I feel like they probably get that a lot.
Yeah.
You know, like you're not
Yeah.
the only one that probably
No, but,
feels
like-
that upset. You know,
But not like usually in the business, you kind of like you can put it aside.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, look, I don't like any of the Texas Longhorns, but Jermichael Finley, awesome dude.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah,
He
I
was
mean,
pretty
like
awesome.
talking to Jermichael Finley. Like I can put that
yeah,
aside.
yeah.
You know, but you know, gee, I should have told that story to Kurt Schilling.
Yes, he would have. Yeah, Kurt would have loved that.
He would get it. He ices
He
people
definitely
out.
would have got it.
Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Faithy Lou Lynch, one of my favorites. Faith here. Faith is going to keep coming back with us. That is going to do it for our show. We have Tom Holmoe, retiring BYU AD, coming up at 3:25. Sam Kahn, Houston schedule, Mickey Spagnola, and
Robert
Allen and Off the Radar. All that's coming up at 3 o'clock. This is the Triple Option.